In this video, we're going to be installing an SSL TLS certificate on our WordPress website running on Apache, which will enable us to enforce secure connections. And we're also going to be hardening the website a little bit by restricting access to our administrative login pages, disallowing certain types of request methods, enabling modules to help protect us from cross-site scripting and clickjacking attacks, and finally, making sure our website is properly returning error codes. Let's get started. So, of course, before we get started, we always want to make sure our repositories and packages are updated and upgraded. So that's sudo apt update & sudo apt upgrade tac y. Now, in order to issue our web server an SSL TLS certificate to make our connection secure, first we need a fully qualified domain name. That can be a .com or a .org or anything available really that we can point our name to the public IP address where our server is located. You can purchase a name from many different registrars, and I happen to be using Namecheap, and I think I pay like $12 a year for mine. So over here on Advanced DNS, you need to point your domain name to the public IP address of the web server because Let's Encrypt does not issue an SSL TLS certificate to an IP address. I happen to be hosting my server on AWS at this IP address here, 52.33.130.69. And over here, I have selected or purchased the name homedropoffice.com. And you can verify that it is working by actually typing in the URL and making sure that it resolves to the server that you have loaded. So that's where we're at in this tutorial. So in order to get started, first we need a different package manager to install the Certbot that is going to issue our certificate. So that's sudo snap install certbot -- classic. Then what we need to do to verify its installation, we can check the version with certbot -- version. Let's go ahead and there we go. So here we go, Certbot 2.60 from Certbot installed. So that's good there. We can verify with certbot -- version. And we should see the version pop up 2.6.0. So there we go. Now what we need to do is we need to create a symbolic link from the snap binary for Certbot that we just downloaded or installed and create a symlink to the user resources binary. So this ln-s will be link and -s for symbolic. So let's sudo ln-s. And so we'll, looks like may have already been created. So let's go ahead and remove that binary and then try that again. There we go. So now we should have, let's do cd user bin. Let's do cd user bin. And then let's see if Certbot is here. Here we go. So here's that binary. And now what we can do is we can use Certbot to issue an SSL TLS certificate. Really, really simple. It's gonna have some prompts on the screen. So let's go ahead and enter our email, the domain name that we want to have a cert issued to. So in our case, I've already done one for my website, but for this test website, we'll go ahead and select homedropoffice.com. So we'll homedropoffice.com and hit enter. We're gonna go ahead and just wait on that for a second. So as you can see here, installation of the certificate was successful, and we can verify that by navigating to https:// and the domain name, and it should resolve, and here we have a nice lock. So that is great news. We are working. The only problem is that it's still insecure because you can still access it from the IP address. Let's see, https. So this is insecure. There are many different ways, and depending on how your links are set up in your WordPress website, this so far looks so good. But it is definitely insecure because you can still, you know, navigate to, oh, the redirect is already working, so that's nice. Well, what we're going to continue to do is we need to set up redirects so that you will not be able to access the site from the IP address or from an insecure connection. So now what we need to do is oh, I forgot one thing. Let's go ahead and check to make sure these certificates are valid for 90 days, and you can typically renew them at 60. So let's go ahead and try a dry run for a renewal, and we should get something that says all renewals succeeded. So let's see, account registered, simulating renewal. And here we go. Congratulations, all renewals succeeded. So there we go. So when you want to renew, all you just need to do is SSH or log into your console and enter sudo certbot renew. And if you're at the 60-day mark, it will renew. Otherwise, it won't do it for you. So now what we need to do is let's go ahead and check. So when we installed Certbot, if you remember from the last video, if we go into our Apache server files, let's go to sites-available. We created this WordPress configuration, right? Well, when we installed when we installed our certificate, Certbot also created an SSL configuration based off of this configuration here. And this I just wrote up for you to check it, so it should look something like this. So let's sudo nano WordPress -le -ssl configuration. So here we go, and we have the server name, home drop office, that's us, and here is where our private and full chain keys live. So what we are going to do is we are going to modify that a little. In our last video, we enabled the headers module. I said they were modifications, my apologies. They are modules, and that's so we can do things like enforced strict transport security and also give us a little bit of cross-site scripting and clickjacking protection. We also enabled the rewrites module, and that's what we're going to do to prevent accessing the website from an insecure IP address or you know, basically we're going to redirect all insecure requests to our website through HTTPS, and we're also going to make sure that the versions that we're using are the most recent. So that's what we need to do. So in our case here, we're just going to go ahead and copy and paste this whole configuration into our SSL configuration, and then we're going to change a couple things. So let's do control paste, and then we just need to make sure that wherever yourdomain.com is in here, that you change it to your fully qualified domain name. So this will be homedropoffice.com because that's the website that we're working with. homedropoffice.com, and I'll go ahead and explain a little bit about what these modules are doing. homedrop.com. Did anyone else catch that? Let's see. And then home drop office. So let's do home drop. Here's another .com. Man, I'm just failing all over the place. Okay, so here we are gonna modify this file a little bit more, but for now, our document root, this is where, if you remember from that last video, the var www html WordPress, this is where all our WordPress files live, and this is where Apache pulls the files to serve up the website. So we're just basically going to allow all of the symbolic links because later we're going to deny specific access to our admin and login pages for both PHPMyAdmin as well as the front-facing login page for administrative access. So we have to turn on rewrites because rewrites will allow us to redirect traffic to the HTTPS, the secure version of our website. So we turn the rewrite engine on, and then we set up these rewrite conditions. This is for IP addresses, and this will basically send any request from the IP address to the HTTPS version of our site. And this rewrite condition right here is going to make sure that we are using HTTP version 1.1, since the 1.0 is not quite as secure. Additionally, we're going to enforce all TLS versions above 1.2, and we are going to use a strong cipher suite for those versions. So basically it just makes it so basically it just makes sure that not only are we using secure connections, but we're using newer versions of them. And then of course this stuff is really unchanged here. Our server name is homedropoffice.com, and these are where our security keys for our certificates lie. So let's go ahead and overwrite that file. And then what we need to do is, so now if I refresh this page, it should redirect. It did not. Okay, so let's see. If I https, this should redirect. Still not secure. I may need to restart the Apache website. So let's go ahead and move on. We need to modify our original WordPress configuration. So let's sudo nano. Let's go ahead and get rid of all this in here. And then we're going to apply some of the same rules, not all of them, because we don't need them all in this configuration. So we're going to go ahead and redirect permanently to homedropoffice.com, and we need to, don't forget to change these, because when you restart Apache it will fail to reload if you don't do it. So homedropoffice, or it'll try to redirect to yourdomain.com, which is not a thing. So let's see, how many instances of this do we have in here? Here we go, server name. It's homedropoffice.com. Another thing that you can do in here, let's see. So we're cd etc Apache 2. So we have this Apache 2 configuration. Sudo nano Apache 2.configuration. We can set the global server name in here. So that's already set, so that's good. So let's go ahead and sudo systemctl restart Apache 2, and now we should redirect. Here we go. So let's see, what was our, I don't remember what our IP address was, so we're moving a little slow here, and let's look up homedropoffice.com. So any requests made to this IP address, regardless of how I do it, should redirect to https homedropoffice.com. So let's try HTTP homedropoffice redirects. Let's try HTTPS with the IP address redirects. Let's try the IP address by itself. Let's try HTTP and then the address. So this is really good. So now we know that we have a secure connection. So anytime that you log in, you can be sure that you're not going to have any issues there. So there's a few extra things that we should do in order to harden our website a little bit. And this is going to come, we're going to go back into our configuration files and add these for blocks. So WP admin, login, and PHP my admin. This is going to block access to your IP address. So you will get a forbidden error if you try to access this and you are not on the allow list. So let's go back into our sudo nano. Actually, let me just copy and paste this since I have it here for everybody. All right, and then we're just gonna add these down on the end underneath the virtual host tag. We're gonna add these to the bottom of those tags right here. So if you're hosting it locally, you can use a local IP address that's on your home network. But since this is going to be on AWS, we're just going to go ahead and plug in the my IP address. So let's see, what is my IP? I'm actually using a VPN right now, so it's not a big deal. Let's see, 198. So right now we are going to be from 198. So we're just going to allow this, allow from, and then allow from. And we're going to highlight this and copy and paste it into our SSL configuration. So let's overwrite this. And let's sudo nano etc apache 2 sites available wordpress -le -ssl.configuration. And we're going to go ahead and also add this to the bottom here. And let's overwrite that file. Let's see, modify buffer. No. Let's try this again. Sudo nano etc apache 2. You can tell I typed this a lot. Do we overwrite that? Okay, cool. All right, so let's sudo dufo. Nice. Sudo systemctl restart apache 2. And let's try to go to our login page here. And here we go. That URL was not found on this. I think the newer versions of WordPress don't redirect login, so I think you really actually need to type in wp login.php or something to that effect. So here's my login page. Now, since, let's see, hopefully, the only problem with Mullvad VPN is if I disconnect from this VPN, it may not reconnect me to the same IP address. But just for funsies, let's go ahead and try to, here we go. So now we're getting a forbidden error. So this is really good news because we are not at the IP address that I set in the configuration. The only problem with this, and I'm going to get into why, is this is giving us a little bit of an indication of where maybe to probe for vulnerabilities. So by receiving this 403 forbidden error, we know that we're running this on Apache and not something like Nginx. We know that the base system is Ubuntu, and we know this is on port 443. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to suppress this message. So it's a little bit harder to tell what's actually going on. So let's see, where are we? So this is going to be in our security configuration. And so let's just go ahead and, hey, come back here, you. You can tell I'm trying to get this video all in one shot. This is actually the furthest I've made it today. Shoot. No. Don't pay attention to that username. You can tell I love the movie Hackers. I'm such a nerd, I know. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to open the security configuration. And here we go. And we want to turn server tokens to production, server signature to off, and trace enable to off. So server tokens to production, so that will be prod. Server signature to off, and then trace enable to off. Trace enable is already off. Okay, so cool. So let's sudo systemctl restart apache 2. I doubt I have the same IP address, so let's check our forbidden. And there we go. So now we've suppressed it all, and all you receive is the forbidden error. So that's really good. Next, what we want to do is sometimes, I don't know why Apache does this, but you should really check your, so we need to come to the localized error pages. And a lot of times you'll have like a 404 page set up, but it won't redirect properly. And it'll just show you like maybe like a 301 redirect, you know, like a permanently moved. Or so what I like to do is I actually like to go into the error pages and set up an error document and a 404. So this is going to be error document, and let's do 403. And we'll just have forbidden. This is going to pop up as text. You don't have permission to access this resource. Okay. And let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Sudo systemctl restart Apache 2. There we go. So you can make it say whatever you want. And then for 404 errors, I don't know, because I haven't really set up this site because it's just for, you know, tutorial purposes. I don't want to be, I want to be sudo etc apache 2 conf available, and I want to be in sudo nano localized error pages dot configuration. And also, typically, I set up a 404 document. So there's probably somewhere in your template on your WordPress that'll have an actual 404 document. You can pull up the resource for that and then just basically uncomment this and then paste. You can paste where that is in your server files. So that's how to set that up. Now what we want to do is, if you look in your server logs very frequently, actually let's check out mine for a second. This is really fun. So I believe they are in sudo var log apache 2. Let's do access.log. cd var log. Let's see, is it gonna let me in? Sudo lsl apache 2. I see that access log right there. I don't know why it doesn't let me do it. Sudo cat var log apache 2 access.log. Okay, super fun here. If you notice, let's see if we can find a fun one. Let's see here. Here's options. That's okay. Sometimes here, let's see if we can search for connect. Dun, 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 bum, bum, bum. Nothing today so far. That's interesting. A lot of GET requests. That's pretty normal. But occasionally what you'll see is people, I mean, you'll definitely see them try to do some funky things. Like they'll try to connect to your URL to use it as like some kind of proxy. So you can totally just like block those requests. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to ensure that only valid requests, get, post, head, and options are basically those are the only methods that we're going to allow. So let's open up our htaccess file. And something was not wrong there. Let's see. So I need to change that. Should be var. I had it backwards. So it's var. CD nano. Man, I'm on a roll today. Okay, so now what we want to do is we just want to copy and paste this limit except. So we're going to deny every other kind of request. This will end up in our error logs, which will be important for the next video when we install our web application firewall and our intrusion prevention, as well as DDoS protection. So we're just going to go ahead and limit these, and then we'll overwrite that file, and then we'll sudo systemctl restart apache 2. So that's pretty much it. That's just a general, basic hardening guide to make sure that we have a secure connection to our site and that we limit administrative access to our login pages. So the fact that I should have a different IP address, so you can't even brute force this. I mean, you should still definitely have a very strong password, but as you can see, unless you're on the whitelist, you're not getting anywhere near the login page. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I know we said that I was going to cover mod security and mod evasive and fail to ban, but I think that's more appropriate to cover in the next blog post and the next video. So that's what I'm going to do, and I will see you in the next one.